your English podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Your English podcast, the perfect place to boost your English little by little with each conversation.
Today, we're going to talk about mastering the art of small talk, even if you are an introvert.
When we think about small talk, it often gets a bad rap, doesn't it?
Yeah, people often see it as like pointless chatter, superficial.
Exactly. Just something you kind of have to get through, like filler before the real conversations start.
Right. Or sometimes the real conversation never even happens because the small talk feels so, I don't know, forced.
Yeah, forced or just empty. But I've been thinking about it more, and it feels like maybe we're underestimating it.
How so?
Well, isn't it sort of the foundation for, uh, pretty much everything else? Like those first few exchanges, however brief, they really seem to set the stage for deeper connections.
That's a really interesting way to put it, like the opening notes of a song, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. It might seem light, almost trivial, but it establishes a rhythm, a connection.
Uh-huh. It builds that initial tiny bit of comfort and trust, I think. It definitely smoothed the way for more meaningful stuff later, whether you're, meeting someone new at a party or trying to build a relationship with a colleague.
Okay, so if we agree it's actually pretty fundamental, not just fluff, the big question is, how do we get better at it?
Yeah.
Especially for listeners, maybe like some of us who find it, well, a bit challenging, our more introverted listeners, perhaps.
Right. It can feel really daunting if you're not naturally super outgoing, the pressure to say the right thing.
Exactly. So, our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack a technique that could help. It's called active observation.
Active observation. I like the sound of that. It feels purposeful.
It does, doesn't it? The idea is to help you make small talk feel less like an obligation and more like an opportunity just by paying closer attention.
Okay, so we're going to break down what active observation actually is.
Yep. We'll define it, look at why it works, and then get really practical. We'll give you lots of examples, actual phrases you can use.
Ooh, phrases are good. Concrete things people can try.
Definitely. And we'll explore how you can use this approach in all sorts of situations work, social events, maybe even just waiting for a coffee.
Sounds like a solid plan. So let's dive into the core idea then. Active observation. What are we really talking about here?
At its heart, it's about consciously, deliberately noticing things around you, specifically details about the people you're interacting with or hope to interact with.
Okay, so it's not just glancing around the room, it's more focus.
Exactly. You're looking for specifics. Maybe it's something they're wearing, piece of jewelry, their shoes, a pin.
Uh-huh. Or maybe something they're carrying, like a particular bag or a book.
Yes. Or even their demeanor. Do they look particularly focused or relaxed or maybe a bit lost?
Gotcha. So you notice these details.
Yeah.
Then what? What's the goal?
The goal is to use that observation to form a genuine compliment or maybe ask a thoughtful question, something that shows you've actually seen them, not just looked past them.
Ah, okay. So it's about making them feel noticed,
Yeah.
seen.
Precisely. Think about it when someone comments on something specific about you, something you chose or did. How does it feel?
It usually feels, well, good. Like they're actually paying attention. Makes you feel a little bit more interesting, maybe.
Right. It validates you in a small way. It says, hey, I see you. I noticed this cool thing about you. And that simple act can just dissolve so much of that initial awkwardness.
Yeah. It breaks the ice much more effectively than just like, hi, because it gives the other person something concrete to respond to.
And it shows you're interested in them, not just trying to talk about yourself or fill the silence.
That makes sense. It shifts the focus outward.
Oh,
So those small details, what kind of things should people be looking for? You mentioned clothes, accessories.
yeah, those are often the easiest. like a brightly colored scarf, an interesting watch, a unique pair of glasses.
Okay. What about things like their drink? Could that work?
Maybe. If someone's ordered a particularly unusual coffee, you could potentially comment on it, like, oh, that looks interesting. What is it? But you have to gauge the situation, right?
True. Context is key. You don't want to seem nosy. What about behavior? Like if someone's reading,
Oh, absolutely. If someone's engrossed in a book in a public place, that's often a great opening. It says something about their interest.
so the idea is that these little things aren't really little, they're clues, sort of, openings for connection.
Exactly. They're conversation starters hiding in plain sight. Okay, so let's give our listeners some actual phrases to work with. Simple ones to start. How about, I really like your jacket?
Nice and simple. You say, Giga. Let's hear that again. I really like your jacket.
Good. It's direct, polite, focuses on something specific, easy to say. Okay, another one. That's a cool watch.
Also very usable. That's a cool watch. Or you could expand slightly, right? Like, I couldn't help but notice your watch. It's really unusual.
Yeah, or that's an interesting bag. Or maybe your glasses have a really great style.
The pattern is notice something specific and then make a simple positive comment or observation about it. It's not rocket science, but it requires that first step of noticing.
Definitely. Let's just quickly practice the pronunciation on those first two again. It really helps build confidence if you feel comfortable saying the words. I'll say it, then you repeat, then I'll say it one last time for everyone listening. Ready? I really like your jacket.
I really like your jacket.
Like your jacket. Okay, next. That's a cool watch.
That's a cool watch.
That's a cool watch. See? Short, simple phrases, but said with a bit of warmth, they can really work wonders.
They really can. And maybe we should talk a bit more about why they work. We touched on making people feel noticed.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. It taps into something pretty fundamental about human nature, doesn't it? We like to be acknowledged.
We absolutely do.
Yeah.
When someone takes a moment to offer a sincere compliment about something we've chosen our clothes, an accessory, maybe even just how we've decorated our desk, it feels good. It's a small validation.
It's like a little burst of positive reinforcement, maybe.
Exactly. Psychology 101, right? You offer a positive stimulus, the compliment,
Yeah.
and you often get a positive response. They feel good. You feel good for making them feel good. It creates a positive loop.
And it immediately lifts the interaction above just, how are you? Fine. Which often just dies right there.
Right. It injects a bit of personality and specificity into the moment. Think about times it's happened to you. Someone noticed your new haircut or a t-shirt from your favorite band.
Yeah. It definitely makes you warm to the person a bit more. You think, oh, they're observant, or hey, they have good taste.
Or simply, they noticed me. In a busy world, just being seen can feel significant.
So it signals presence, attentiveness, that you're actually engaged with the world around you, not just stuck in your own head.
Precisely. And it gives the other person an easy way to respond. If you say, cool watch, they can say, oh, thanks, it was a gift. Or, yeah, I got it on holiday, and boom, you've got a potential conversation thread.
Unlike next letter, where the response is usually just, yeah, end of story.
Exactly. So like you mentioned earlier, if you see someone reading a book at, say, a conference coffee break, instead of just standing there awkwardly, you could try, oh, I see you're reading author's name. How are you finding it? Or even, that looks like a fascinating read. What's it about?
Right. It shows you've not only noticed the book, but you're curious about their experience with it. It invites them to share something they're likely interested in.
And it feels much more authentic and less like you're just trying to network or fill time. It's a genuine point of connection based on an observation.
So it's a way to bypass the really generic stuff and get to something a little more personal, but still in a very low stakes, comfortable way.
Absolutely. And the great thing is, this isn't just for parties or formal events. This skill, this mindset, it works almost anywhere.
Okay, let's explore that. Where else can you use active observation in everyday life?
Think about those little moments. You're waiting in line at a cafe. The person in front gets their order, maybe a really amazing looking slice of cake.
Okay, yeah.
You could just lean over slightly and say, wow, that looks incredible. Is it as good as it looks? Or that cake looks amazing. Do you recommend it?
Simple. Right. You've observed something appealing and you're asking for their opinion. Most people are happy to share a quick thought about food.
Exactly.
Right.
It might just be a 30-second interaction, but it's a pleasant human connection instead of just staring at your phone.
Or, you're walking down the street, maybe waiting to cross. Someone walks past wearing really striking shoes or a great hat.
Uh-huh.
A quick, sincere, hey, cool shoes, or I love your hat, as you pass can just be a nice little moment. You don't even need a response, really.
No, sometimes it's just about offering that little bit of positive energy. It acknowledges their style, their choice. It can brighten their day. And honestly, it can feel good to give a genuine compliment to.
It really can. Now, this brings up a really important point, though. How you say these things, the delivery.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Tone of voice is everything here.
Yeah.
And sincerity.
Right. You can say nice jacket and sound totally bored or sarcastic, or you can say it with genuine warmth to make someone feel great.
Exactly. You want your tone to be light, friendly, open, not demanding or intrusive. You're offering an observation, not interrogating them.
And it needs to feel authentic. If you're just rattling off compliments you don't mean, trying to use it as a trick, people will likely sense that.
Totally. It comes across as insincere, maybe even a bit creepy if it feels forced or overly familiar. The goal is connection, not manipulation.
So relax, be genuine. If you genuinely like someone's scarf, say so with a simple smile and a warm tone. If you don't notice anything or nothing resonates, don't force it.
Good point. It's not about finding something on everyone. It's about being open to noticing things when they do catch your eye genuinely.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but let's address the elephant in the room for some listeners. Introversion.
Yes, let's talk about that because the idea of actively initiating contact, even with a simple observation, can feel overwhelming if you're naturally more reserved.
Right. The internal monologue might be screaming, don't bother them, or what if they think I'm weird?
Exactly. But here's where active observation can actually be, perhaps counterintuitively, a huge help for introverts.
How so?
Well, think about why initiating conversation can feel hard for introverts. Often, it's because the focus feels intensely on, what should I say? How will I come across?
That internal pressure.
Active observation shifts that focus. Instead of worrying about yourself, you're directing your attention outward. You're looking for details about the other person or the environment.
Ah, okay. So it gives your brain a specific task, something external to concentrate on rather than just your own anxiety.
Precisely. It provides a concrete starting point.
Hmm.
You're not trying to invent a topic out of thin air. You're responding to something real, something you've genuinely noticed. I noticed your cool pen. I saw you sketching earlier. It feels less arbitrary.
It's like finding a pre-made conversation starter right there in front of you. That makes a lot of sense. It lowers the cognitive load, maybe.
I think it does. And it also helps manage the fear of silence. Another common anxiety for introverts, right? Feeling the need to fill every pause.
Oh, definitely. That pressure can be intense.
But if you start with an observation or a question based on it, like, that's an interesting book, what's it about? Eh, You've essentially handed the conversational baton to the other person.
Right. You've asked a question, now it's their turn to speak. It gives you a natural moment to just listen and gather your thought.
Exactly. You don't have to immediately jump in with the next thing. You can listen to their answer, and maybe a follow-up question will occur to you naturally based on what they said.
Yeah.
It allows for a more relaxed rhythm.
And reminding ourselves that pauses are actually okay. They're normal in real conversation.
So normal. It's not a performance. It's an exchange. Short pauses are fine. It gives people time to think.
So, for introverted listeners, use active observation as a tool to shift focus outward, find specific starting points, and take the pressure off yourself to constantly talk.
That's the core idea. It makes initiating contact feel more manageable and less self-conscious.
Okay, so we've got the what and the why and some general how. Let's get even more specific now. How does this apply in different real world settings? You mentioned its versatility.
Yeah, it really is adaptable.
Yeah.
Think about professional settings like networking events or conferences. These can be intimidating for anyone, right?
Definitely. Lots of strangers, pressure to make connections.
Okay, so instead of just launching into your elevator pitch or asking, what do you do right away, try using active observation first.
How would that look?
Maybe you notice someone's company logo on their badge or bag. Oh, I see you're with company name. I read an interesting article about your recent project on X.
Ah, okay. Shows you've done a little homework or are aware of their field. Less generic.
Exactly. Or perhaps you attended the same presentation. I really enjoyed that last talk, especially the point about why. What did you think?
So you're finding common ground based on a shared experience or observation within that professional context.
Precisely. It helps establish a little rapport, a human connection, before you potentially pivot to business talk. It feels less transactional.
That's a great tip. It softens the approach. What about in the regular office environments with colleagues you see every day?
Even there, maybe a colleague has a new plant on their desk. Oh, that's a lovely plant. Does it brighten up your workspace?
Or they've rearranged their area. Wow, you've really organized your space here. It looks so much more efficient.
Right. Or maybe they have photos from a recent trip. Is that a picture from your holiday? It looks amazing. Where was it taken?
These are small things that they show you're paying attention to the people around you, not just focused on your own task. It builds team cohesion, maybe.
I think it absolutely can.
Mhm.
It fosters a friendlier, more observant culture.
Okay, what about more personal situations like a date?
Ooh, okay. High stakes. Does active observation work there?
I think it's essential. Again, it shows you're genuinely interested in the person. Maybe they're wearing a piece of jewelry that looks unique.
You could say, that's a really beautiful necklace. Is there a story behind it? It's complimentary, but also opens the door for them to share something personal, if they wish.
Nice. Less generic than, you look nice, though that's good too, but more specific. What else?
Maybe you notice they have a particular accent. I think I detect a slight accent. May I ask where you're originally from? Again, tread carefully, be respectful, but genuine curiosity can be flattering.
Or if they mention a hobby casually, you pick up on it later. You mentioned earlier you enjoy hiking. Have you explored any trails around here? Shows you were listening.
Yes, listening is a key part of active observation too. Noticing what they say as well as what you see, even family gatherings.
Huh. Can it save us from awkward silences with relatives?
Maybe. Notice a new piece of art on the wall. Ask about it. Comment on a dish someone brought. Aunt Carol, this casserole is amazing. Did you try a new recipe?
Okay, I see the pattern. It's always about finding a specific, genuine point of interest and using it to connect. It really is universal.
It is. And the beauty is, It constantly pulls your focus away from your own potential awkwardness and puts it on to the other person, which is generally where you want it to be for good conversation anyway.
That's a great way to summarize it. Okay, so people understand the concept, they see how it applies. Now, how do they actually practice this? How do you build the observation muscle?
It really does take practice, like any skill. You won't become a master observer overnight. Start small.
Small how?
Like we mentioned before, use those waiting times. In line at the bank, waiting for a bus, sitting in a park. Consciously look around. Pick one person. Try to notice 3 specific things about them.
Just notice, not say anything yet.
Not yet. Just practice the noticing part. What's their general demeanor? What are they wearing? What are they holding or doing? Just train your brain to pick up details.
Okay, like mental push-ups for observation.
Exactly. Then the next step is to turn those observations into potential conversation starters, just in your head.
So you see someone with a dog, observation 1, cute dog, observation 2. Dog looks like a specific breed, observation 3. Person seems friendly.
Then the mental sentence might be, what a lovely dog. Is he a breed name? Or simply, your dog is adorable.
Okay, so you're linking the observation to a potential opening line.
Right. Maybe try keeping a little note on your phone or a small notebook for a day. Jot down observations of potential lines. Person reading sci-fi novel. Oh, cool. Are you a fan of author? Person with university sweatshirt. Do you go to university name?
That sounds really practical. It makes it less abstract. You're actually creating a little bank of potential openers based on real things you've seen.
And then comes the slightly scarier part. Actually trying it.
Saying it out loud to a real person.
Yeah. Start low stakes. Maybe with the barista you see every day. Instead of just ordering, try. Morning. I like the new artwork you've got up here.
Or the cashier at the grocery store. That's an interesting pin you're wearing. It might just be a brief exchange, but it's practice.
Exactly. Practice in small, informal groups if that feels safer. With friends or colleagues you already know. Try making one observational comment during a meeting break.
And remembering not to fear the silence, like we said. If you say cool shoes and they just say thanks, that's okay. Not every observation has to lead to a deep conversation.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a pleasant micro interaction, but sometimes it does lead somewhere interesting.
Okay, here's an exercise for everyone listening right now. Pause for a second if you need to. Look around your immediate environment. If there are people, great. If not, think about the last place you were with people. Now, identify one specific detail you noticed or could have noticed about someone, a piece of clothing, an object, an action.
Got it.
Now, formulate a simple, polite, genuine compliment or question based on that observation.
And maybe even say it aloud quietly to yourself right now. That's a really nice color on you. Or, I couldn't help but notice your laptop sticker. It's really cool.
How does it feel saying it? A little weird.
Yeah.
It's okay. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
And remember, pauses are fine. You don't need to have a follow-up question immediately ready. Let the conversation breathe.
This is all really helpful, practical advice. I think sharing some personal stories might also help illustrate how this works in real life. Have you had a memorable experience using active observation?
I have, actually. It was at a big, slightly overwhelming corporate event a couple of years ago. You know the kind, lots of people, quite formal.
Yep, know them well.
And I wasn't really connecting with anyone initially, feeling a bit awkward, standing by the canopies. Then I noticed a colleague, somebody I didn't know very well from another department, was wearing this really striking, quite unusual watch.
Okay. Specific detail notice.
Exactly. It wasn't flashy, just different. Really cool design. So I took a deep breath, walked over, and said something like, "Excuse me, I couldn't help but notice your watch. It's really eye-catching. Is it a particular designer?
Nice opener. Compliment plus a question.
And what happened? Well, his face lit up. Turns out it was a vintage piece he'd inherited from his grandfather and had recently restored. He was really passionate about vintage watches,
Ah, so you hit on something meaningful to him.
totally by chance. But we ended up having this fantastic 15-minute conversation about watches, restoration, history, completely unrelated to work. It totally broke the ice. And suddenly the event felt much less intimidating because I had made a real connection.
That's a brilliant example. A simple observation about a watch led to a whole conversation about passion and history.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What about you? A story.
I do, yeah. And a bit different, maybe lower stakes. I was in a team meeting once, fairly standard stuff, maybe a bit dry.
Uh-huh. The usual Monday morning vibe.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I noticed one person who was usually quite quiet was wearing this really bright, cheerful shirt under their blazer, like a really vibrant pattern.
Okay, standing out subtly. Yeah, exactly. It just kind of lifted the visual mood a little. So during the coffee break afterwards, I just went over and said something simple like, hey, I just wanted to say I really love your shirt. That color is fantastic. It really brightens up the room.
And their reaction.
Honestly, they seemed genuinely pleased. They smiled really broadly, said thanks, mentioned they felt like wearing something cheerful that day. And you know what? For the rest of that day, and actually in subsequent meetings, they seemed way more comfortable speaking up, more engaged.
Wow. Just from a small comment about a shirt.
It felt like it. Maybe it just made them feel seen, acknowledged, like their little effort to be cheerful was noticed and appreciated. It seemed to create a little bridge.
That really highlights how even small, positive observations can impact the dynamic. It's about making people feel comfortable and valued.
It really is. And both our stories, I think, underline that key ingredient we keep coming back to, sincerity.
Oh, absolutely paramount. If either of us had sounded fake or like we were just trying a technique we read about,
It would have fallen flat, or worse, felt manipulative.
right. People have pretty good detectors for insincerity. You have to genuinely find the watch interesting or the shirt cheerful. You can't just pick a random detail and pretend.
It's about training yourself to be more observant and appreciative, not just acting like it. The goal isn't to trick people into talking to you.
No, the goal is to make genuine connections by being present and attentive. Your tone of voice is huge here too. Warm, open, friendly. It conveys that authenticity.
If you speak from a place of genuine interest, even a tiny comment like cool pen can feel connecting.
Exactly. It's about the intention behind it. Are you trying to connect or just trying to get something?
So true. And speaking of connecting, if you, our listeners, are connecting with these ideas and finding this deep dive helpful for your English journey,
I would be absolutely thrilled if you'd hit that subscribe button.
it genuinely helps us keep creating this content for you. And we also really, really want to hear from you. How are these deep dives working for you? What topics are you interested in?
Your feedback is gold. It helps us shape future discussions. And remember, all of this small talk, active observation, it ties back to why learning English is so valuable, right?
Absolutely. English isn't just grammar rules and vocabulary lists locked away in a textbook.
No, it's a tool for communication, for connection. Being able to navigate these small social interactions confidently opens up so many doors.
Professionally, socially, even just when traveling. Being able to strike up a simple conversation, understand cultural nuances and interaction, it enriches your experience so much.
And mastering something like small talk, using techniques like active observation, builds that crucial confidence. It shows you can use English effectively in real-world situations.
It moves it from theoretical knowledge to practical skill, And that's empowering. When you can handle a casual chat in a cafe or make a good first impression at a networking event in English, that feels amazing.
It really does. It proves your learning is paying off. It builds momentum for tackling even more complex communication challenges. The foundational skill for fluency.
So true. Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. From defining active observation to practicing it, sharing stories. Let's try and crystallize the main points for everyone listening. What are the absolute key takeaways?
I think the biggest one is this. Getting good at small talk isn't about being magically witty or extroverted. It's fundamentally about learning to pay attention.
To notice the detail.
Yes, noticing details about people and your surroundings, and then using those observations to make sincere comments or ask genuine questions. It's about being present.
And we also really emphasized how this specific technique, active observation, is a fantastic tool, especially if you're more introverted.
Definitely. Because it shifts your focus off your own anxiety and onto the other person. It gives you concrete starting points and takes the pressure off needing to fill every silence. It makes initiating feel more natural.
Okay, so now for the crucial part, putting it into action. What's the immediate next step for our listener?
Start practicing today. Make a conscious decision. For the rest of the day, whenever you're around people on your commute, at work, grabbing lunch, even at home, actively look for details.
Train that observation muscle.
Exactly. And then the challenge. Try to make at least one small, genuine comment based on an observation to someone you interact with. Just one.
It could be the person who makes your coffee, a colleague, the delivery driver, anyone. I like your bike helmet. That's an interesting book you've got there. Thanks for your help. I appreciate how efficient you were.
Just one small attempt to connect using what you've noticed. See how it feels, see what happens. No pressure for it to become a long chat. Just practice the initiation.
And please share your experiences with us. We genuinely want to know how it goes.
Yes. Go to the comment section. Tell us, did you try it? What did you observe? What did you say? How did the other person react? What felt easy? What felt challenging?
Your stories help everyone in this community learn and grow. We can all learn from each other's attempts and successes.
Absolutely. And of course, if you found value in this discussion today, if it gave you some new ideas or tools for your English communication,
Please consider subscribing to your English podcast if you haven't already. And giving the deep dive a like really helps other learners find it.
and tell your friends. If you know someone else working on their English conversation skills, let them know about us. We'd love to welcome them to the community.
Thank you all so much for tuning in and for your attention today.
Yes, thank you. We really hope this helps you feel more confident with small talk. We'll see you in the next deep dive of your English podcast.
And wishing you the very best of luck practicing your active observation skills. Go notice something interesting.
Good luck with your small talk.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. We appreciate you being here.